In 1931, the Bondurant brothers, Howard, Forrest, and Jack, run a successful moonshine business in Franklin County, Virginia. Jack believes they're unstoppable, recalling how Howard survived a shipwreck and Forrest recovered from the Spanish flu when no one else did. Despite Prohibition making alcohol illegal, even local sheriffs secretly buy from them, earning Franklin County the title, the wettest county in the world. The brothers use their gas station and restaurant as a front, with help from Cricket, Jack's skilled friend who maintains their stills. One night, during a delivery, Forrest and Howard tell Jack to stay in the car. Growing restless, Jack sneaks out to see what they're doing and ends up cornered by a robber, demanding his money. Just in time, Forrest and Howard return and handle the situation. Later, they attend a party to sell off the remaining liquor, where Jack becomes interested in Bertha, the local preacher's daughter, though Howard warns him to be cautious if he wants to pursue her. The next day, Forrest meets Maggie Beaufort at his restaurant, where she asks for a waitress job. A former dancer, hoping to escape her troubled past in the city, Maggie says she just wants a quiet life. Seeing no harm, Forrest hires her. Before we move further in the story, don't forget to like the video. Sometime later, Jack witnesses the infamous rum runner Floyd Banner shoot 2 federal agents in broad daylight. After Banner escapes, Jack collects the shells and rushes to tell Cricket, who idolizes the man. Cricket proudly shows Jack a new system he's built to hide and transport their moonshine through the station's plumbing lines. Not long after, U.S. Marshal Charlie Rakes arrives from Chicago with Sheriff Pete and corrupt attorney Mason Wardell. Pete tells Forrest that Rakes wants to make a deal. The brothers can keep working if they pay a cut. Forrest refuses outright and warns them never to send Rakes his way again. That night, Forrest gathers the local bootleggers and urges them to stand together against Rakes and Wardell, but they refuse. The next day, Sheriff Pete tries to reason with Rakes, who becomes intrigued and insulted when he learns Forrest claims to be indestructible. Feeling challenged, Rakes sees it as the beginning of a personal war. Jack grows frustrated that Forrest keeps him out of their bootlegging work, insisting he's too inexperienced. He won't even let him drink. Ignoring him, Jack sneaks some liquor, gets drunk, and attends church just to see Bertha, embarrassing himself but still catching her attention. Later, when he visits Cricket, he finds Rakes waiting and is brutally beaten as a warning to the Bondurants. Forrest scolds Jack, but tells him that if he wants to be part of the business, he must be ready for such dangers. The next day, Rakes' men arrive, threatening to expose Forrest's bootlegging unless he cooperates. Before Forrest can respond, Howard attacks them for hurting Jack. Forrest finally steps in, stops the fight, and coldly tells the men to deliver a message back to Rakes. That night, Maggie encounters Rakes in her apartment building. He taunts her about her past as a dancer, but she stands her ground and pushes him aside. The next day, Forrest reminds Howard to return by 11 p.m. to handle some out-of-town buyers, and Howard assures him he won't fail. Meanwhile, Jack, dressed in his father's old suit, visits Bertha again. She warns him her father would never approve, but Jack stays a moment longer before slipping away just in time. That night at the station, Forrest realizes Howard hasn't shown up and tells Cricket to close up with Maggie. When he steps outside, he sees 2 drunk men harassing her and beats them up before throwing them out. After Maggie leaves, the same men ambush Forrest, slit his throat, and leave him bleeding. Maggie returns just in time to save him, but is assaulted by the men while trying to help. She later hides the truth from Forrest, knowing he'd go after them. As Forrest recovers in the hospital, Maggie visits with her bags packed, shaken but grateful he's alive. She tells him she's leaving town, realizing this violent life isn't what she wanted. Forrest, clearly caring for her, urges her to stay at the station until things are safe. Meanwhile, Jack tries to convince Howard to sell off their remaining liquor so they can walk away from the business, but Howard, guilt-ridden for not being there when Forrest was attacked, refuses. Determined, Jack sneaks into the hospital, steals the keys to Forrest's liquor storage and enlists Cricket's help. Together, they head toward the county line to sell the last of their moonshine. On their way to make a delivery, Jack and Cricket's car runs out of gas on a deserted road, but Cricket cleverly uses liquor as fuel. Soon after, they're ambushed by Floyd Banner's gang, who plan to kill them, until Jack blurts out that he's a Bondurant. Impressed by their family's defiance against rakes, Banner spares them, pays well for the liquor, and gives Jack a note, revealing the location of Forrest's attackers, men who now work as deputy marshals under rakes. Jack returns home proud, finding Forrest back from the hospital. Before Forrest can scold him, Jack explains everything and shows the money and note. Convinced, Forrest agrees to take revenge that night. With his share, Jack buys a camera and visits Bertha, exchanging photos with her before returning home, only to learn Forrest and Howard have already gone after the attackers. Ignoring Maggie's pleas, he rushes out and finds his brothers have already killed the men. To prove his worth, Jack delivers one of their severed testicles to rakes as a warning. Make sure to subscribe to the channel before we keep going. In the weeks that follow, Floyd Barry becomes a regular buyer, and Jack and Cricket officially join the Bondurant operation, handling risky deliveries while evading police chases. Rakes retaliates by destroying their stills, forcing the brothers to rebuild a larger setup deep in the woods. Cricket enhances their cars to outrun law enforcement, while Jack keeps pursuing Bertha, despite her father's disapproval. As most bootleggers bow to Mason Wardell, only the Bondurants and their cousin Spoons refuse, until Rakes captures and tortures Spoons to death. One night, Maggie, tired of Forrest's distance, sneaks into his room, and they finally succumb to their feelings. The next morning, Spoon's mutilated body is found outside. Rakes' warning. Later, Jack proudly takes Bertha for a drive in his new car and brings her to the hidden still, showing off their operation. But Rakes, who has been secretly tracking them, follows with his men and prepares to ambush them. Jack orders Cricket to take Bertha and leave while he distracts the officers. Howard soon arrives and helps him fight off Rakes' men, giving them a chance to escape, but Cricket and Bertha are caught. Rakes takes Cricket to a remote spot and kills him, while the authorities blow up the entire still site. At the station, Jack tries to apologize, but Forrest, furious, lashes out at him. Howard then delivers the heartbreaking news of Cricket's death. During the funeral, Forrest rejects another bootlegger's condolences, accusing him of betraying them. Overwhelmed with guilt, Jack spends the night in Cricket's car, mourning his friend. The next morning, the sheriff arrives and warns Jack that Rakes has set up a roadblock at the bridge, and that Wardell is calling in federal agents to arrest the bootleggers. Ignoring the danger, Jack grabs his gun and speeds off to confront Rakes. Howard rushes to alert Forrest, while Maggie begs Forrest not to risk his life again, finally revealing that she was the one who drove him to the hospital after his attack, confirming his suspicion that she too was assaulted that night. At the bridge, Jack is shot by Rakes before he can react. Forrest and Howard arrive, and a fierce gunfight erupts. Forrest and their driver are hit, the driver fatally. The sheriff tries to stop the chaos, but Rakes ignores him and shoots Forrest again. The sheriff then shoots Rakes in the leg, and the arriving bootleggers open fire, forcing Rakes to flee. Enraged, Jack grabs Forrest's gun and chases Rakes, with Howard following. Wounded and limping, Rakes is caught by Jack, who shoots him. When Rakes tries to crawl away, Howard finishes him off with a stab. By December, Prohibition comes to an end, and Wardell is arrested on corruption charges. The Bondurant brothers move on from their outlaw days. Jack marries Bertha, Forrest settles down with Maggie, and Howard weds a woman from Martinsville. Together, they start living honest, lawful lives. Nearly a decade later, during a family gathering at Jack's house, a drunken Forrest wanders out to a frozen lake. He falls through the ice but manages to pull himself out. Despite surviving the fall, he later dies from pneumonia, marking the quiet end of the man once believed to be indestructible. Thank you for watching! Don't forget to share this video with your friends who love great stories like these.